those lives on a road to be closed. Second requirement the state law requires that we don't have evidence that it's been complied with is the need for a bond ahead of any work that would be done for the closure. I would say, Judge, that it's questionable whether or not we should have even made it this far in this proceeding, that the petition should have been dismissed as procedurally deficient prior to today. The second assumption that we're working on is that if this petition were to be granted, that a gate would fix the issues that are down there. It is not clear under state law that a gate would even be appropriate or allowed. Ending maintenance does not necessarily end use of the road. Representative Laney Fight filed a letter in this proceeding pointing out this very matter, stating that it would just make it harder for the recreational users and businesses to access an unmaintained road, as opposed to the county staying involved and staying with this access point and making it a place that the public can enjoy and be proud of and invite people to come and bring their tourist dollars to this county. So again, Your Honor, or Judge, to say that a gate will be in place and that it will definitely solve these problems is an assumption that we can't take for granted here. There's also, of course, the specter of a prescriptive easement or some other proceeding taking place out after this to establish or reestablish the public's access to a historically used point. Finally, Your Honor, I'd like to quickly address the concept of useless. I think it's great that Ms. Bray went and found a definition from another state, but I can't find one in Arkansas law. So we have to go with what the plain meaning of that word is. And I think you'll hear today from all these people that whether it's baptisms, fishing, recreation, wading, or canoeing, that there is no way that we can find in this instance that an access point used for all those things is useless. It's awful that there's people down there doing bad things or leaving trash or engaging in illicit deals, but none of that goes to the question of whether or not the road is useless. It may be an enforcement issue, something to discuss with the sheriff, but the standard is not whether or not bad things are happening at the road. It's whether or not it's useless. And everybody that's here today providing their testimony just about is telling you that it is used for many, many different purposes. So useless, I would say, is a high standard that we cannot, petitioners cannot overcome here. Thank you for your time, Judge. Thank you.
My name is Mike Armstrong. I'm a resident of Benton, Arkansas, and a user of the river. I've floated the section on numerous occasions. My interest here is twofold, both personal and then one of seeking a solution to a problem that I've had a lot of opportunity to face over my career. I'm a retired fisheries biologist from the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. I was chief of fisheries for a number of years and then retired when I was deputy director. And working with private landowners and the public on access was one of the major objectives of my career goals, because one of the things I learned over my 35 years is that once you lose public access to any of the waters in the state of Arkansas, they are pretty much gone forever. They're very difficult to recover. So one of my mantras to my staff at that time was that you fight to the very end to keep public access, because that's how people approach their resource, that's how they begin to use it. The other thing I learned about in my 35 years is that the petitioners are correct. The public can be a royal pain in the ass. Forgive my vernacular, a royal pain in the rear, let me say it that way. So one of the things that I would hope that would come of this is not to look at this as a win-lose situation where one side wins and the other side loses, because I think there's an opportunity here to have a win-win. In my dealings with the public on access issues, I had a number of opportunities, and Peeler Bend is one of those, in which there was an interest by private landowners to close because, as the petitioner stated, nefarious activities. When an unregulated, unmaintained access is a draw for people who have nefarious motives in mind. And over the years, I've learned that if you begin to regulate that access area, if you begin to maintain it, and the public does enjoy the use of it, much of those problems go away. Because I think one of the people said that people begin enjoying the river, they begin to police it themselves. You begin to shine a bright spotlight on those areas. So I would hope that in your conclusions, Judge, that you would choose not to close these access areas. It is a valuable resource to the people of Arkansas. I enjoy it, a number of people enjoy it, and I don't think anybody here in this courtroom is wanting the nefarious activities to continue. We sympathize with those situations, but if it is brought under the jurisdiction of the county, and I hope, and I think I put this in my letter to you, Judge, that the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, I cannot speak for them, but they do have programs that are open to work with county judges on improving these areas. Peeler Bend is a good example of that. And once you bring it under jurisdiction of the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, a number of state laws along with county laws come into effect. One, you can't have firearms on a game and fish access area. You can't shoot fireworks. You can't have alcohol on them. And so you bring in a whole new level of enforcement to help police those areas and police those activities. And that's why in my 35 years putting public accesses in where there's been concern about those activities, they seem to just melt away. Those people find someplace else to go. And I hope that would be the case here, that we look for a win-win solution to this situation that would satisfy the landowners, because they obviously have a problem or they wouldn't be petitioning, but also satisfy those of us who continue to enjoy the river and don't have any nefarious motives in mind. So appreciate, Judge, you taking these comments.
Thanks, Mr. Armstrong. Is there anyone else?
Judge, excuse me, I am Lynn Moore, a resident of the city of Benton. My family came to this area in 1842. The Moore Ford was my great-grandfather's property. It was, and it is, a public access. I believe that federal law dictates, and is supported by the Supreme Court, that public access is a privilege of the public. And when we talk about making it accessible to one person by a key, that hardly means the public. I believe that it would be important for us, out of this meeting, to realize that common interests demand that we facilitate or that we organize a discussion panel that will suggest ways to abate any complaints. My thought is that the stakeholders owe it to each other to sit down at the table, whether it be the sheriff, game and fish, the public at large, individuals entirely. We need to talk it out and resolve it, as Mike has mentioned, a win-win. I think everybody wants a win-win out of this circumstance, but closing access, to me, is the absolute wrong thing to do. And I appreciate the opportunity to visit.
How you doing, Judge? My name is Scotty Rowland, and please don't type that into your computer there, because if you do, what you find is a list of stuff that comes up in the past. In the past, I used to be one of the drug addicts, and the criminals is the people that are causing problems down there at their access. And we're out today. I have 6 years clean. We're graduate Saline County Drug Court, and pretty big recovery addict and a conservationist. Fishing and canoeing is a big part of my life, and you know, I'm a seminary student at Trinity Missionary Baptist Church. It's been a complete life transformation for me, and I don't say all that to build up my pastor or anything, just to verify that I can speak on experiences. The people that's going down there causing problems will not be stopped from going causing problems. When I lived life as a criminal, I lived life as a criminal. Today, as a upholding citizen of the law and a follower of Christ, I do things the right way, and whatever the judgment of the courtroom is what we're going to follow. But the individuals that are going and causing the issues cannot be stopped. And it's thankfully, a police officer saved my life by putting me in custody one day. And I just ask that you please take into consideration that, you know, all the bad that's going on there is just going to move around. There's been a lot of mention of making public access and making it more easily accessed. In all that, I can say that in addiction and in drug use, I didn't want to be around places where other people were. I wouldn't go into a Walmart and hang out with, you know, all of society and start doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing, because that's just not a smart thing to do. So I think it's a very good idea to make it more easily accessible and put more good people in the place so that the riffraff wants to go somewhere else and take.
Is there anyone else?
My name's Bill Halbert. I'm 76 years old. I've been here since Jesus. My mother taught half of this town, okay? And I knew Robin when he was running around in the bathing suit just about that tall. So I know Robin's background too. But anytime you move out in the country, I've had friends that live in the country, and they had problems just like George. That's just part of living in the country, see? But Robin lives up on this high hill up here, and it's all fenced in. Nobody's going to bother her. If they did, if I saw anything going on her property, I'd say something about it. And I doubt she knows who I am right now. But what I'd like to, I don't understand some statements that were made in this petition that have not been brought up here. They said the landowners owned to the middle of the river. Is that correct? Was that in the petition?
That is correct.
That's correct. Okay. Now let's look at that just a minute. The Game Fish Commission has gone all over the state and built access to the river. All the rivers in Arkansas. So now what they're saying is they own to the center of the river. And you're trespassing on their property. That's what it said. I didn't bring it with me, okay? Now, the Game Fishing Commission has put in all these access. So when you put your canoe, boat, kayak, or whatever in, if you go right or if you go left, you're trespassing. All their access points are null and void right there. Now that's what it says in the petition. So the petition itself is wrong. This hasn't been brought up. And I'm telling you that if the people really care, they go the move down here, our access at Interstate 30. It was terrible, terrible. I don't know who read the riot act to the mayor or the council, but they cleaned that up and went down the other day, and there was a guy with his little boy fishing. No problem down there anymore. Not tore up anymore. Because the police department of Benton went down there and straightened that mess out. Now, I know Rodney. I may know Rodney better than Rodney knows Rodney. But that's his job. If these people there have a problem, then he needs to get down there and straighten it out. That's his job. You don't elect any public official to do half a job. You elect them to do the whole job. And I guarantee you, there's some men sitting in here that I recognize. They can stop that. It can be stopped. But if you let's put in a nice little park down like they did at the Interstate 30. There'll be people in there and out, and these people, these dope users and drunks, they don't want to be around those kind of people. That's just the psychology of it. So, and I was at Nickelville when I was a little bitty kid. That's where my granddad taught me to scramble eggs. And I'm telling you, it would be a terrible shame to stop access to Nickelville or any other place. But look at the legal possibilities of this. I'm telling you, if what they're saying in their petition is so, then all the access that the Game Fish Commission has built are null and void. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Michael Sockerman. I had something kind of wrote up that I would say. doesn't seem really pertinent, but to the landowners, it seems as if I've inadvertently offended you. And see Robin shaking her head. I apologize. I don't know what I did personally. I will admit, social media and the way that it works is it gets a group of people together and they express their concerns. I believe Dr. Stewart, Jimmy, Michael, I think they know my heart. And I believe they know that I sympathize with them. I don't know that whatever decision today is made, I'm not sure that one side will win and one side will lose. It seems like it would be a loss either which way. It really just seems that way to me. I feel hurt inside that I don't know. I did want to address a few things. My comments to the court, I believe, are written and in the record, so I don't think that's going to sway your decision. Concerning the road being cut or washed out, I did want to address a couple of legal matters just so that was in the record. I've got 10 years worth of complaints and maintenance records or work orders for Tony Kelly. In 10 years, it's never washed out. And then to just, in response to Dr. Stewart, apparently whoever works for the road department, the county road department that keep this in, they weren't part of that unanimous. They left it open. They said the road was washed or cut. And again, in 10 years, it's never washed out. But I assure you, I am not aware of any time that I blamed any landowner for doing this. All I know is it happened. I don't know. Concerning illegal activity on Tony Kelly, Freedom of Information Act says we can kind of go obtain copies of things. They could have done the same. 3 years in Tony Kelly, there was one report of dumping. It was made by Jimmy. Apparently, there was a bunch of papers and stuff dumped out. It was in 2018, it was last year. There was one other report. It was filed Saturday. I'd probably rather not talk about it, but that's 3 years. That's the illegal activity. It's reported at the Saline County Sheriff's Department. There's still no doubt. There's a lot of issues down there. I mean, here they are. People do go down there, they drink beer, I'm sure they shoot guns. I don't know what else to say. I will say, losing this access, it'll be detrimental to our business. It's the most popular, most successful float trip on the Saline River that we can offer to the residents of Saline County and tourists alike. The reason for that is I've heard people say, well, you just move down and offer another float or something like that. It's proximity to downstream accesses. Its consistency of flow is unlike that of other access points. And, Game and Fish agrees it should stay open. A lot of people do. I think it's a good opportunity to work with the landowners and ensure that their needs and their rights and their property is protected along with the general public. Thank you.
Thank you. There is no one else?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge. My name is Kelly Wilson. I wasn't going to say anything, but he brought up about floating. Yesterday, I live up 1 mile up Peter Benton Road. Lived there for 32 years. Before that, I lived in Benton. Before that, I lived in Saline County. The rest of the time, I was in the United States Army. Yesterday, I drive up to Peter Benton Access just about every day or every other day to check on dumping, illegal dumping, to see if anybody's dumped anything up there. There happened to be a guy from Texas up there who was following all this in Saline County. He was up there and he had found the Saline River, Peter Benton access to Saline River a few years ago. and he come out there all the time. But he didn't know, he asked me, he says, in Saline County, is there any other access up this river where I can get to and I can take my kids and float down this river? Because the river was down yesterday, it's up today. But these people like that, I'd rather, like I said, the people in river, every day or every other day, I see people from Missouri, from Texas, Mississippi, all over the United States come to this river to float it. By closing off that one more access that the people have to get to the Saline River would be a disservice to a lot of other people, not only to the people in Saline County. Thank you, sir.
Hey Judge, I'm Marcia Guffey. I'm from Bryant right now. Have represented the city of Benton in the times past and was asked to talk about the comprehensive plan that was done around 2007 or so. All of the public meetings that we experienced at that time, people said they wanted to see more happen with the river. They agreed with this gentleman that it's a real shame that we don't develop this as a great economic development asset for the Saline County. And we don't have our own park here. We don't really have, we do have ULR Benton, but we don't have our own college. We don't have a lot of things that other communities and counties in Arkansas have. And so a grassroots, a Saline County-led initiative to make sure that the river becomes that great access, I think would be beneficial to the people of the county and the state of Arkansas as well. Also, I would like to say that I had one of my 3 baptisms in the Saline River, and so I'm covered lots of ways. And I floated the Saline River many times, paddled on it. I have done the Catherine, the Little Mo, the Big Piney, the Buffalo many times. I mean, there are lots of nice rivers in this state, and we're very blessed to have them. But we've got a great asset right here in Saline County that we should keep open to the public. Thank you.
My name's Steve Udonish. I've been in Benton for about 16 years now. I understand the property owners. You know, as an American, you should be able to do what you want with your own property. I understand that, and I sympathize with them. I find my main problem here that nobody's really talking about is that all the complaints seem to be about illegal activity. And I think it's a very, very dangerous thing if you decide to close access to the public because we're unable to police it. I think there's got to be ways that this can be worked out. We either need a larger sheriff's presence there, or cameras or something. There's things that can be done, but taking access from people that are basically not doing anything wrong because of the actions of miscreants and the inability of our constabulary to curtail those kind of activities, then you can close anything you want. Crime's everywhere. Crime's everywhere. I spent 18 years in Washington, D.C. They'd have to close every parking garage in that city down because peeing in the stairwell is illegal, but they can't catch them. You can't catch them. You can't do it. You have to just make the efforts. I feel for these people, man. I understand. You know, somebody telling you what you can and can't do on your own property. That's a very, very slippery slope. We're seeing this a lot in our society in general. You penalize the people that aren't doing anything wrong by enacting things like shutting off access because they're law-abiding and they're going to not access the river if that's taken away from them. But the people, and I don't want to go over what this other gentleman said, but the people that are criminals, you put a gate up, you can put all the stuff up you want, and there's still going to be needles, there's still going to be beer cans, and when they catch people, then the property owners might feel like they have a bigger right to call the sheriff and get in there and get these guys. But it's the exact same thing that's happening now. If there's somebody there that's doing something illegal, they should be run off or prosecuted or whatever it is. But putting a gate on there, I got grandkids, they fish, you know, anything I can do to get them off the Xbox. And the more stuff that you take away, it's a whole different issue to the kids that just want to fish. So the only thing I wanted to say was I do not believe we should close access because we can't figure out how to police it. We must police it. You can close Tyndall Park, you could close Ralph Bunch Park right now because of the stuff that's happening. And that's just, you're taking it, and like the other gentleman said, once you take it, very difficult to get it back. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
If there is no one else, okay, this hearing is in recess. The issues affecting the petitioners cause me great concern in the fact that I don't think any of us in this courtroom or that have interest in this case would be okay with what is occurring on their property. Just some of the really bad things that are happening on the property, anything from littering to trespassing to criminal mischief of all kinds. And I believe those things are happening to the property owners that have been part of this petition, or even those property owners who have not been part of this petition, who are having along the access of the river and these two roads. But at the same time, I'm coherent to the fact that numerous Saline County residents and others use portions of Mountain View Road and Tony Kelly Road to access a large part of the Saline River. Arkansas Code 14-298-117 states that if an objection to the petition to vacate is made in writing, then the county court shall appoint 3 viewers to view the road, and that the viewers shall make a report in writing regarding their opinion on the vacation of the road. And if the viewers report in favor of vacating the road, the court, if it deems the report reasonable and just, may declare the road vacated agreeable to the report of the viewers. In this case, I did appoint 3 viewers. Those viewers were Mr. James Zond, a resident of Hot Springs Village in Saline County, and a former Quorum Court member of the Saline County Quorum Court, Mr. R.J. Hawk, a resident and a city council member for the city of Bryan, as well as Mr. Terry Benham, a resident and a businessman and a former mayoral candidate for the city of Benton. And in this matter, none of the 3 appointed viewers issued an opinion in favor of vacating portions of Mountain View and Tony Kelly roads. In my opinion, as well as the opinions of the 3 viewers, the roads in question are not useless, as the term is used in statutes. It is my opinion that the roads are not useless because they have traditionally been an access point to the river, and in low water conditions has been a crossing point to access the other side of the river. Even more, many residents of Saline County have filed objections, expressed concern over the vacation of the roads, and many of those comments have communicated that they rely on these roads to access the Saline River to participate in many lawful and healthy recreational uses that the river provides. I think this helps demonstrate that the roads are not useless. Because of all this, I am denying the petition to vacate portions of Mountain View and Tony Kelly roads. My decision is limited in that the only thing that I have decided today is that these roads will not be vacated and that the county will continue to maintain these 2 particular roads. I'm extremely sympathetic to the petitioners in saying what is going on and occurring on their property, and I'm willing to work with the Sheriff's Office of Saline County as well as the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission or any other agency to help stop these activities from occurring. At the same time, continuing to allow the public to enjoy one of the valuable resources that we have here in Saline County. According to Arkansas Code 14-298-116, an appeal from the final decision of the county court for vacating any county road shall be allowed in circuit court, and the notice of appeal should be given within 30 days from the date of the order of the county court's file of record with the county clerk. At this time, we are adjourned.